I'll begin by expressing excitement to get on the road and regroup and refocus as a unit and see if we can get back to playing much, much better basketball. Take questions.
Yeah, how do you think the success of last year's West Coast trip can help prepare the coaching staff and some of the returning players, just mind and body preparation for this week?
It's a lot different. Yeah, it's a different group. This is a different group. As far as experience, it's just every situation's so different. But obviously, we're confident that the time spent together will be used wisely, and so we have to get better this week, much better prior to playing Washington, and then use that to learn more about ourselves as we prepare for Oregon. Two tough environments to play in. Washington's starting to play their best basketball right about now.
Yeah, I was going to ask something somewhat similar. It feels like when this group travels for extended time, right? Vegas this year, Fort Myers last year, Big Ten tournament last year, West Coast last year. It feels like there's something to that. What is it that makes you guys good in the multiple game in a one location situation?
There's positives and negatives with everything, and so when you look at NIL and how guys live now, most of them live in single apartments. Most of them live by themselves. And so they just don't spend as much time together. And I'm not being critical. I have sons. They have friends. It's people are different as far as community now than they used to be. So we think because we have such good guys and they really like each other and respect each other, that simply being forced to spend more time together is healthy, and they develop an even greater bond and trust amongst each other, and they spend time with different guys on the team that maybe they don't because they live in a different apartment complex or whatever the case. So I don't know what it is. We've just always felt like because we have good guys who are committed to getting better, simply being together in different environments has helped us grow.
Are there any, planned activities off the court? Is there time for that?
Several. There's a few planned activities, dinners and whatnot.
Okay. And then Washington in particular, what are some of the things that make you say they're playing so good right now?
Well, they got a big win last night versus Ohio State, who played really well at Oregon. There's just so much parity in our league, and each game comes down to maybe a hot hand, maybe a player, an important player in foul trouble, or an injury. You never know, but they've had some injuries. They've had some guys go down, and it almost looks like because their rotation is shorter, they're playing better. They know when they're going to play. And early in the season, they played well and didn't make shots. And now they're starting to make shots, and so they have a good roster. Obviously, if Claude's out, we expect him to play. But if Claude or those guys are back, they're much deeper. But they have really good players. They're well coached, and they've only lost one home game this year. So we know the environment's going to be tough. It looked like they had a great crowd last night.
When it comes to Yax and what he's dealing with, I know he was a game-time decision at Penn State. Is this something where he can work through it and he'll be 100%? And is this something where a couple of days could help him at some point?
This is one of the downs. I'm talking about upsides and downsides. This is one of the downside of this era where you don't know these guys. You haven't coached them and been through a lot of things together. But we have been through a minor injury with Yax, and it took him a couple games early in the year to get his flow back. And so I saw him yesterday. He seemed much better. He seems to be healed, and so hopefully, just like he did after Wake Forest in those games when he had the hand injury, he gets back to being himself.
When it comes to managing the games, whether it's calling timeouts or not calling timeouts, do you want your guys now to adjust? How can they adjust on the fly? And would you manage it different if Saturday was a tournament game? Would you have managed it different?
If we weren't scoring, I would have managed it different. But you're in a great rhythm offense. We came in the timeout and we felt like we'd defended at a very poor rate, and it was maybe a 3 or 4 point game, and we were in a great rhythm offensively. I think that 5-minute stretch was probably as efficient as any offensive basketball performance in college basketball this year. So to be honest, I like it when the game gets loosened up and down. Usually for us, that's because we're getting stops and getting out and going. I just have always felt like we usually have more bodies, we play more guys, we play in the flow, and it's always been advantageous to get a game loosened up. Was it that game or was it not? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you call it. I mean, we changed our coverages and we botched them on the fly. I mean, we've got to be more prepared in advance for these contingencies, and we spent time on it. But obviously, when you're facing a guy that's made 1-3 in a month and he makes 5, you don't spend. Let's say there's 100% of practice time. You don't spend 90% on contingencies. You just try to spend 90% on the stuff that happens 90% of the time, and we didn't. We spent a few minutes a day on it, and it wasn't enough for us to be able to make those adjustments on the fly. But then when we changed our personnel, the same thing happened, and then when we changed our coverages in reverse order, the same thing happened. So I'm not sure what I would have said in a timeout that we weren't able to communicate on the court, other than maybe just. I don't know. I don't know. We were playing well offensively. We just weren't able to get stops. Our communication, our physicality, and we had some guys that were uncharacteristic things were happening to them. And so you have to give Wisconsin credit whenever maybe a player's done this really well all year, and for the first time he's not doing it well. I don't think we would have taken those guys out. They were in a good rhythm. They were playing well. So. In hindsight, I wish I would have done 150 different things. I wish I would have started a different lineup. But before the game, after the game, during the game, I wish I would have called all my timeouts early or late. I mean, and when you lose, was our processes good? We didn't lose because of our plan, but we lost as a combination of our plan, our execution, our preparation. And so all those things rolled into one, and you lose a one-possession game.
You talk a lot about shared sacrifice, and I'm wondering, with you guys going to Oregon later this week, Justin Joyner, and kind of what that type of sacrifice is with his wife coaching out there, and how much respect you have for that.
It's a very unique family dynamic where you have two high-level coaches in different sports, and that's a lot of times one or the other. I've worked with a lot of really talented female basketball coaches that their husbands have put their careers on the side. And then I've seen the opposite, where women have retired from being effective coaches or whatever, physicians, because their husbands are in athletics. So it's unique that they're able to do it. They have a lot of family help, family support. They're both great parents, and so obviously the geography makes it tough. But they're both very. I can't tell you how many times they're FaceTiming with Wesley on the phone with them and whatnot. But I think it's kind of cool that they at least get to see each other in that environment once or twice a year. I know Oregon's women's soccer played Ohio State last year, so it's tough. But sometimes when you're chasing greatness, or you're trying to max out your human potential, then you have to make these types of sacrifices. So I applaud both of them.
And then similarly, Winters Grady, how has he kind of handled things, and kind of where is he growing, I guess, behind the scenes that we're not quite seeing until the end of some games?
It's how's he growing? Like the rest of our guys, he's in the gym. He was in the gym this morning. I mean, I walked past him and he was dripping wet. But I didn't watch to see what he got better at. In practice, we've moved him to the scout team some to get up to speed defensively and to continue to learn different nuances. For example, he's an elite shooter, and Purdue, I think Lawyer's a great example, someone that has a lot of game off the ball as far as getting open and being deceptive. And so if he can mimic him for 3 or 4 days, and that's just the first example that came to my mind. I know we have Washington and Oregon first, but then if he could learn a lot by going in part and being that guy for a few days. So he's doing all that. He loves the game. He loves ball. We're going to need him sooner than later. I mean, we needed some shot making last game. But just the situation of it, we felt confident going with the vets.
Dusty, you've mentioned intensity a number of times throughout the season as something that's been concerning to you. Is that something you can coach up in practice or a game, or does that need to be player-led?
I feel like we've played at a really high level of intensity up until just recently. So every game I watch, there's usually one team that's playing with more intensity for whatever reason. And so will we ever be satisfied with our intensity? Probably not. I mean, just part of being a championship team is the focus, concentration, intensity that goes into winning at a high level. And until we are at a 10 out of 10 in those categories, then you're probably going to hear me talk about it. But I don't feel like I feel like this team's played with more intensity than our team last year, and most of the teams we played against this year.
A week ago, when you were asked if you subscribed to the idea of dropping a game to maybe serve as like some sort of wake-up call, you said probably not and would rather just keep winning, and obviously that's obviously the goal. Now that you are in that situation, is that a message that maybe resonates a little bit more? Are you still looking to go the mindset of continuing to win?
I'd say check back with me and see how we respond to this. We obviously didn't respond to playing well like we needed to, as far as getting hungry and whatnot. We seemed a little bit satisfied. I don't know if we, I don't want to put words or thoughts on our guys, but we didn't play with the same edge. And part of that could be injuries. Part of it could be foul trouble. I mean, there's so many things that go on in a game that affect the outcome that probably aren't noticed by the naked eye. I mean, Elliot Cadeau picking up 2 fouls that hurt us. It hurt us a lot. And, especially when you look at the fouls, if those are fouls, then you can't play him anymore because he's going to get 3 or 4. If those 2 were fouls, then we can't play him anymore after that. So, we were playing well until he got his second foul. So there's just a lot that goes into it. And then obviously LJ played as well as he could at Penn State and then didn't have his better game against Wisconsin. So a lot to learn from that game. The only thing we didn't look as – the only thing I'm really disappointed in, other than just us not playing to our maximum level of energy, is we looked a little bit – we lacked poise down the stretch as a group. When I say down the stretch, it's really the last 10 minutes. We didn't look and that is probably the downside of the margin of victory, that we haven't been in those situations so many times. As you saw last year, we were in them a few times early and we learned from them, and it was really great for our growth. So yes, if we respond the way we did last year and the way we have majority of the time this year, then this will be a good thing. But if we don't, if we lose a little bit of confidence or we don't have the same edge, or we start pointing fingers and the noise gets into our locker room, then it's a bad thing. So I'll check back with me in a week or two. I'll let you know.
Yeah, Dusty, I think 4 games in a row, you guys have shot 32% or less. Seems like just Trey and Amari maybe in a little bit of a funk. Is that, what is that a result of? How do you think that's happened?
The ball didn't go in the hole versus if it did.
Well, I mean, so you're not seeing anything. You're still liking the shots that you, because after the game you said
Did you see Damari's last 3 shots?
Those were,
If there's a defender, the ball didn't go in. They looked good. He said they felt great. There's a defender 15 feet away. That's what you do when you lose. You go back to resulting, and it's like, okay, freeze this shot. He's standing here. He's a very good shooter. He always has been. And so you can't put yourself in position where that ball, they hit and they pop in. Amari has 2 great looks that don't go in. Even on the one where his defender fell down and the big emergency switched, he had a lot of space, but the ball was low. And then in that point, we probably just need to take the 2 because Merez's guy rotated to him. But to answer your question, if Namari Burnett has 10 feet of space and a wide open corner 3 because Roddy Gill, I thought we were playing. That's the thing. We went back yesterday and we're looking at the last 4 minutes. And other than a little bit of missed execution in the last minute, a little bit of panic, man, we were playing good ball. That thing was popping. We were turning down good ones for great ones, and it didn't go in. So do you sit here and say, do you overanalyze that? We don't, because we would love to play 82 possessions like that. The problem is that everyone sees those possessions, and we're more concerned with all the stuff that went on outside of the naked eye, the other 82 possessions, the defensive lapses, the things that we didn't do well on that end versus Namari Burnett's wide open shots that they did. They were playing good ball, man. Roddy Gill's back screen, Roddy lob, kick out corner 3. Man, I'll take that. Give me 100 of those on this road trip, and we'll take all 100 of them and feel good about where we are.
And then did you ever thought about Adai, the basket interference? What did you see?
I thought it was interference. I thought, I don't want to talk about officiating at all. Yeah, I thought it was a goaltend. I thought it was a good call, but it was, as one of the coaches said, it's close enough we have to try it. And so we tried it. But no, there was never a moment when I thought that basket counted. say it's a game of inches. It might be a game of centimeters.
Looking ahead a bit here, you guys will honor Trey Burke next week here. Women's basketball honored Diane Dietz, and we'll do a couple more this year. I guess from your perspective, how important is it for you guys to honor and respect the people who have played here before? And I guess how involved are you and Kim in those types of decisions as well?
I'm not directly involved in the decisions other than Ward will say, hey, we want to retire Trey Burke's number this year. And I say, man, that's awesome. Let me know what I can do to be a part of it and how we can help and contribute. One of the downside, I keep talking about upside and downside, but there have been several coaches at Michigan since whatever, the 70s. And so you don't have the continuity of someone being here and then passing it down to an assistant and just continuing. So sometimes players don't feel as comfortable coming back when it's not their coach or coaching staff, or they just don't know people. And so the more groups we can get back, when I say groups, people that played under different coaches, the more we can get back under the Block M Michigan basketball umbrella, then the better off our program will be. We love having those guys around. Our reunion in August was awesome. The golf outing was well received. So yeah, I think it's awesome, and especially Trey Burke. I mean, the National Player of the Year. I mean, there's not, there aren't many of those floating around.
Just after watching the Wisconsin film, I guess just what have been some of the key things that you and the staff have stressed to the team?
Scouting report details, not overreacting to certain things which cause a continuing effect in a negative way, and that's probably the most natural thing to do when you do give up the stretch threes. You overreact in some other areas, and our principles, we didn't stay with our principles even when things weren't going well. Maybe the game got a little bit too loose as the offense started flowing. But yeah, we learned a lot. I mean, like I said, if you categorize it, if the rebounds that we normally get that were in our hands and we just didn't come up with them, if we just get those, we probably win the game. If we do a better job on this one of these two guys with something scouting report, we probably win the game. If we do a better job of whatever the case in any of those categories, we win the game. And we didn't feel like we did any of them well, but that's not taking anything away from Wisconsin. They made mistakes as well. But they played really well. They played really, really well, and credit to them. I saw it against UCLA. I told Greg before the game that the UCLA game was the first time they looked like they did last year, where that ball was popping, it was moving, and they were able to put us in a pickle because of their ball movement and playing two stretch fives that made 8 combined threes. So anytime your two centers score 24 points from the three-point line, you're probably going to be in good position to win, because now you sprinkle in 2 elite drivers, one-on-one players with that, and it puts you in a pickle. And, yeah.
And I know you feel this team hasn't played well the last several games. I guess, do you feel like this extended road trip is coming at a good time for you guys to maybe get away and hunker down together?
Yeah, we feel like it is. We feel like this is the perfect time for us to regroup and refocus on what makes us us.
And then Kim and the women's team, they made this trip not that long ago. Did they give you any feedback, I guess, on what worked for them or what they would do differently?
They gave us feedback. I'm not sure they told us, because they're on Christmas break. We're not. If it was over break, we would go out a couple days early like they are. But we have class today. We'll leave tonight, and we've got a split travel party. So, it'd be. There's really nothing that they can give us other than, they told us what was good and what was bad. But other than that, no, I don't. We have 2 basketball games to play. We've got a break in between. Everyone in the league has to do it. We're obviously the East Coast teams the Midwest teams have a benefit, an advantage that we don't have to do it as frequently. But so yeah, I mean it's obviously going to be tough.
Any other questions? Do you think it makes any sense for there to be offensive goaltending at all in the game? They don't have it in Europe. To me, it feels like a silly rule. But do you have any thoughts on that?
What's your name? Craig. Yeah, Craig, I've said this before. When I come back in my next life as the czar of basketball, one of the things will be, I love the FIBA rule, the knocking it off the rim, knocking it into the rim. I just think it's just more action, more aggression to the game. And especially when you have a die who's up around, I think he could tip a lot of those in.
Especially where it's difficult to call for any referee. during
Yeah,
the game.
it's difficult to call. Man, especially in that situation, we're getting downhill. The layup doesn't go in, the tip in, goaltend. I mean, just a lot goes into winning, and a lot goes into losing. But yeah, I think I would love for that rule to be like it is in FIBA. All right, thanks, guys.